Okay, that's everyone in now. Welcome everyone. My name is Yvonne O'Byrne and I work with Trish Breen and Jennifer Lynch on the Manufacturing Engineering and Polymer Technology Apprenticeships here in Ibec. So you're all very, very welcome today, and we are delighted to have you join us for the next hour to hear more about the Advanced Manufacturing Engineering Apprenticeships and how these apprenticeships can really add commercial value to your organisation, your business, your company, your employees, and your whole talent pipeline. So over the next hour, we have a jam-packed agenda for you. Apologies. My slides are skipping ahead of me. So in just a second, I will pass you over to Barry Comerford, who's our consortium chairperson, to give you a quick welcome and introduction. And after that, then I will be passing over to Trish Breen, who will give an overview of the programme and step you through how to get involved. We'll then go over to Dr. Paul O'Dowd from ATU Galway, who will talk a little bit more to the academic side of the programme. And I think what we'll probably get most value out of really in this session is from past, we will have an industry panel discussion. So we have 3 representatives from industry with us today, Jodie White, Donald Collins and Mick Dreelan, and we'll have an opportunity to have an open conversation with them for the last half hour of this session. So we ask them some questions, and if you do have any questions as the session progresses, feel free to pop them in the Q&A box that is up on the top of your screen, and we'll address all questions at the end. So don't be shy. If you do have a question as we go through any of the content, please do pop it into the Q&A box up the top, and we'll address all questions at the end. Just, I suppose, a little bit of housekeeping before I pass over to Barry. If everyone can just make sure you keep your mics off and cameras off, we'd really, really appreciate it. Thank you. So over to you, Barry. We're very, very lucky to have Barry Comerford with us this morning. So he is our chairperson. He is also a massive advocate of the apprenticeships, gives up a massive amount of his time and is very dedicated to the apprenticeships in Ireland as a member of the National Apprenticeship Alliance. And he's also an entrepreneur and advisory board member at Freudenberg Medical. Over to you, Barry.
Thanks very much, Yvonne, and welcome everybody. It's great to see such a big crowd online. I'm more of a 3D meeting type, but this will do nicely. Yeah, as Yvonne says, I've been chairman of the consortium now for quite a while. I was quite lucky in that I joined the Irish MedTech Association back in 2014, and at the time the group were working on apprenticeships as based on some of the work that the government had asked for. I'll get into that in a second. But they were working on the apprenticeships, and while there was a discussion around the table about apprenticeships, I just happened to mention that I was one time. I did my apprenticeship in the Irish Army from 82 to 85. So I'm a qualified gunsmith. Anyway, so because I said I was an apprentice, I ended up getting the role of acting chair for the apprenticeship consortium, and then we started pulling the consortium together. And it was a bit of a surprise to me at the time that apprenticeships had moved as far back down the queue as they had done over the course of the intervening 20 odd years that I had left it. Rory Quinn kicked off, I think, well, in my opinion anyway, kicked off the process back in 2013 when he asked for a review of how the apprenticeships were rolled out. And from that then there came a lot of reports and recommendations, and one of them was that the apprenticeship should be lifted up into more of a consortium apprenticeship model where employers take the lead in the new technologies and new things that are required for their businesses in training and developing the talent within their organizations and then bringing new talent in. Over the last 10 years, we have seen apprenticeships become more to the fore in the educational system for some of our people. It's no longer now whether somebody goes and gets a degree in college. You can go and get your degree through an apprenticeship. So you end up providing the same type of skills and learning, but just a different method of training. So you end up with exactly the same skill set and the same qualification, just a different way of learning. There's those of us, I'm personally an empirical learner. I learn by doing, and so that's how I have been able to get where I am today in work. And I think a lot of the recognition that that's a way people have of learning has helped us to grow and develop this the whole system. The program now it plugs that gap between, as I said, between the theoretical learning and the hands-on type experience. It's also increased, and Paul will come to this later on, but it's also increasing the gender balance within in our case manufacturing, engineering, but apprenticeships as a whole. There is an increasing number of women getting more involved in the apprenticeship system, and I think one that was mentioned there is a 50% induction rate in the last round of apprenticeships in our space. So fantastic, and a great way to get people engaged in it. We have seen a few cases in the last 3 years. I've lucky enough on the National Apprenticeship Alliance to be one of the judges on the panel, and we've seen 3 people hit the accolade there, between Marty in the first year, Hazel then winning the overall prize last year, Jody this year coming in with the apprenticeship award in our category in engineering. And there was, and I was doing the announcements on the night, there was nothing between the people that were at the latter end of that qualification. So there was a fantastic turnout, and a great testament to the work that all you guys are doing in bringing people through these apprenticeships. One of the key things when we started out was that when I left my apprenticeship, I wanted to plug back into education, and unfortunately there wasn't a method of doing that. You had to come out of work to go into education, and so probably when I got the opportunity to get into this process, I saw the opening to be able to get people to educate themselves as they worked. So the culmination of that for me is now we've got a level 6, 7 and 8 qualifications for people across the board in all our industries, in all manufacturing industries. It originally started out in medtech, because that's happened to be who started it, but it soon spread out into all engineering, all manufacturing, and now we can provide a level 6, 7 and 8 for our people across the board. So it's an absolutely fantastic achievement, to the point that we've had over 600 people enrolled in the process. We're heavily spread across the west of the country, and I think that's probably a function of it being originally medtech centric. We have managed to pull in Dundalk into the fold this year, and hopefully we can get more into the mix going forward, because it's great, absolutely fantastic that it's regionally focused, but from a quantity quality perspective, in order to keep the thing sustainable, you do need to have it needs to be spread across the entire country. I suppose that's pretty much it from my perspective. I think that how the process is going, the fact that we have recognition from Engineers Ireland for 2 of our courses, and we'll be pushing for the third one, the level 8, going forward, because it's just pretty much an add-on. It gives people the opportunity now to educate and develop talent within your organizations as a retention method. Some people will go, some people will stay, but as a retention method, and a way of turning out good quality talent for the future. And it won't stop at level 8. I'm sure the team will push on for even higher accolades. So congratulations to all those involved in it. It's going really, really well. There was a time when Trish and I wouldn't have been sure it was going to be sustainable. I think it's getting to the point now where it's self-fulfilling prophecy, that if you build it, they'll come, and seems that we're doing a pretty good job. So well done. Back
Thanks,
to you, Trish.
Very much, Bar, for those kind words, and it's not for all your hard work of promoting it as well on the way, and banging the drums and beating the trees to get the good word out there. But we might move to the next slide, Yvonne, if you can. Yeah, Barry touched on this about the spread of the offering now that has started off in medtech, but you can see there's a lot of the companies that have engaged with us to date, and there are multinationals in there are medium-sized companies, there are small companies in there, and the principle of the apprenticeship is that if you have a manufacturing process, it doesn't matter what you make, you can apply the principles of this apprenticeship to it, which is brilliant. And that's why I think it suits so many industries and sectors. So there's that opportunity there. Once you make something, you manufacture something, the principles of this apprenticeship are broad enough that they will support your company needs in that. We might go to the next slide, Yvonne. Thanks. So looking at apprenticeship, the apprenticeship ecosystem in Ireland, currently there are two types of apprenticeship in Ireland. There are what we call the craft apprenticeships, and there are the new consortia-led apprenticeships. And our manufacturing engineering apprenticeship sits within that consortia-led model. But both of them are a blended learning where you spend a specific amount of time in college, and then for 15 weeks in our case, and the other 37 weeks are spent in the company. What we have, and Barry mentioned it already, but we have 3 possible programs available, and each of them is a progression from the other. So we have a manufacturing technician level 6, which is 2 years, and the apprentice comes out with a higher cert in engineering and manufacturing after that time. We have a 3-year ordinary degree where they come out with a Bachelor of Engineering and Manufacturing, and that's towards becoming a manufacturing engineer level 7. And we're delighted that we were able to launch last year our new level 8 in advanced manufacturing engineering, and that's a 4-year honours degree programme. The first 2 programs, the level 6 and the level 7, are accredited by Engineers Ireland. And it's possible for a level 6 manufacturing technician, if there was a role in the company, they could, once they finished their level 6, they could go ahead and do 2 extra years and go into the level 8. Or of course, if you have a manufacturing engineer who's done their 3-year ordinary degree, they could go on and do an extra year and do the level 8 in the future. And we're delighted to say that we have different entry levels, which I'll run through in a moment with you, about how you can get into the programs at different levels. But for the occupational profiles of these roles, what would you expect them to be able to do? Well, for a manufacturing technician, they would really help with technical support for existing processes, where the manufacturing engineer will be looking at optimizing your processes. And then that advanced manufacturing engineer, which we see to be a more senior role, they would be looking at the likes of redesigning and introducing new processes into the company. So there's a nice progression route there for career paths within industry. We'll go to the next slide. Thank you. So the benefits then, there's many benefits for companies when they engage in these apprenticeships. Obviously, there are financial incentives there and supports. There's an employer grant available from Solus, where companies who sign up for our apprenticeship will get €2,000 per apprentice per year towards the off-the-job costs. There's also a bursary available, depending on which level you're looking at here. It's females for engineering. There would be a once-off payment of 2,666 for some of those options available. We have heard from employers time and time again that the apprenticeships are actually helping with improving diversity and inclusion within the companies. It definitely helps with employee retention and loyalty. And there's that whole piece about the shared learning of the mentors imparting their knowledge to apprentices, and it's very rewarding for mentors to mentor on this program, to be able to see an apprentice start off on their journey. Like Barry said, look at his journey where he came from being an apprentice to owning his own company and being a director and so on. So it really does give that huge benefit to apprentices to have that mentor there to mentor them through the time when they're being an apprentice. And the apprentices are adding value very early on in the whole piece, because they're going to work on projects it's not an academic project, it's a project where there's some issue in the company and they're going to come up with a project and come up with a solution to that issue. So they're adding business value very early on. And remember, when the apprentices come out the other side of this apprenticeship, they will either have 2 years, 3 years or 4 years of industry experience under their belt as well as their qualification. So it really is very beneficial to the companies. We'll move to the next slide, Yvonne. Thank you. So we have, for our manufacturing engineering, we have 2 possible options available. There's a summer intake and there is a winter intake. The summer intake usually starts around the beginning of August time, where there's an induction with the college for a day, and then the apprentice is back on site in the company for 6 weeks to do their initial industry block, where they're getting ready to go to college in September. And they will be in September full-time from mid-September right through until the end of December. And then they'll be back in the company, let's say for this intake for summer, they'll be back in the company next January, and they're in the industry then right through for 37 weeks until the beginning of September that year, and so on. And then for the winter intakes, they start in mid-November with an induction, then 6 weeks on site back in the company till the end of December. And for a winter intake, the apprentices are always in college the following January for the 15 weeks, and so on and so on. So it's important to note as well that each year we have a program management group and we meet to decide how many intakes are going to happen the following year. And really it's based on demand and indications of what companies are willing to sign up for. So if we have demand there, we will offer out the programs for summer and winter. But block 4 right now for the level 8 4th year, that is only available in Cork and in Galway currently at the moment, and we're going to see how that goes over time. So for this year, for our planned intakes, we will have summer inductions will be in ATU Sligo, ATU Galway, TUS Midwest, MTU in Cork, and Dundalk IT will have a summer intake this year. For those options. And then to look at the winter options, we will have an offer in TUS Midwest and in MTU in Cork for winter. And then we'll talk now about the eligibility. And this is a fabulous that this has happened, because it's open. When we developed the level 8, the National Apprenticeship Office came back to us to say that now they are more lenient on the options of where people can come into the years. So obviously, if a person has a level 6 program, I've already said they can go on to level 7 or level 8. But to come into the program in the first place, and a person must have 5 passes in their Leaving Cert, to include a pass in maths and a pass in language. That language can be English or Irish. They must have 160 points on the CAO. If they're under 23 years of age. But if they're 23 years or over and they don't have a Leaving Cert, it is possible for them to come into the program as a mature student, and that would require the company to do an interview with them. And we have a form that lays out the questions to be asked in that, and you mark them out of 100 marks. And then it's up to the company to decide whether this person has the suitability to go on the program. But that we have a lot of mature students who come into the program, which is great to see. So for year 2 then of the program, if a person had already done a cognitive engineering program, done the first year of it, and passed their exams, and they had 1 year relevant industry experience, they could come into year 2 in order to do the level 7. So they would have in essence got a buy for 1 year, and they'd only have to do 2 years in order to do their level 7. In year 3, I've already said if somebody has a higher cert, they can go on and do the level 7. But if they'd done a Cognate higher certificate in another engineering program, and it doesn't have to have been by apprenticeship mode, but they have that level 6 in engineering and they have 2 years of industry experience, they could come into year 3 and just do 1 extra year and get their level 7, or they could come in and do 2 years to do their level 8. For the year 4 then of the level 8, if they've done the level 7 ordinary degree, of course they can go on and do that level 8. But if they had a Cognate Bachelor of Engineering program done already and they have 2 years of relevant industry experience, they can come into year 4. And that's really beneficial. And we have seen this already. Last year in September, we had a company that had a person who had done an engineering degree a long time ago, wasn't by apprenticeship mode, but they got their qualification and they had the industry experience. So they went into year 4 and now they're doing their level 8 honours degree by apprenticeship mode for 1 year and they get their level 8 qualification. So there are many different options there. You don't have to start at the beginning. There are different ways you can come in the different years, and it's very suitable maybe for employees within the company who might have started the program and decided it wasn't for them or whatever. So, but as long as they have that year done or 2 years, whatever, they could come in. So that's great to have that entry criteria there. For the mentors then, to mentor on the program. For the technician role for the level 6, the mentor must have themselves a minimum level 6 qualification in a cognate discipline. It has to be something related to manufacturing or engineering, or they have to be a qualified technician, but they must also have 4 years of post-qualification experience in order to be able to mentor for the level 6. For the level 7, similar, they must have a level 7 qualification themselves, and they must have 4 years of post-qualification experience. They must hold a position of technical responsibility within the company because they're going to sign off on the work of the apprentice. For the level 8 then as well, that mentor must have a level 8 qualification themselves, and they must have 4 years of post-qualification experience. So it's very well vetted and it works really well. And we've had great success to date with the mentors mentoring. And those industry requirements are like they're there for a reason to kind of support the value of the program. So to get involved then, look, it's a clunky old process. It's by forms and that. But our job here in Ibec is to make it as simple for you, the companies, as possible. So to say, how do you get involved? There are 3 distinct hurdles to get over. There's the Ibec pre-approval process, which we will help you with and talk you through. There's the SOLACE registration process, which we will initiate on your behalf for the company. And finally, once all those things are in place, we will help with getting your apprentices registered with the university or the college. So Ibec pre-approval, SOLACE registration, and finally the university registration. And we're here all along the way to make sure that all of that happens, and we'll help you get that. We'll help you get through the paperwork and make sure everything is in place. We have a LinkedIn page and the QR code there if you'd like to like it or follow it. We put up regular updates about our apprenticeships on our LinkedIn page, so that you'll have the slides afterwards anyway. You can follow the link if you'd like to like and follow our LinkedIn page. And now I think we hand over to Paul after this, and thank you very much for your time.
Thanks very much, Trish. Thanks for that, and Barry as well. Yeah, so hello everybody. I've been involved with this apprenticeship since 2016, and looking after the design and the development and the rollout across the country of the apprenticeship. It's been designed in collaboration with our partners in ATU Sligo, TUS Limerick, and MTU in Cork, and also in collaboration, most importantly, with industry. So if we can just move on, it's a program designed by industry, with industry, for industry. So we asked industry what they wanted in the program. We developed the program, taking into account the needs of the likes of Engineers Ireland and our own requirements for academic integrity and what we know from an academic point of view makes a good engineer. Things like communication skills, design skills, analysis skills, investigation skills, teamworking, so on. But so we've designed the program. So we just move on. We've targeted 4 learning streams. First of all, your basic science and mathematics. That's your fundamental, your engineering fundamentals. We're in the application side. We're looking at smart manufacturing and operational excellence. And then, of course, we have an industry block, a very large industry block. The students do 15 weeks in the college, followed by 37 weeks in the company where they apply the skills. So, so if we look at, say, after 2 years, what we're building towards is a process technician. So we take your school leaver or your current highly skilled product builder that maybe you and your companies have identified as a person with potential, and together with industry, we developed the skills whereby at the end of second year, they've picked up CAD skills. They're capable of designing fixtures. They're working with automation. They've gone from, say, in first year, electrical circuit boards on to PLCs and PLC programming in second year. And also the operational excellence side, looking at quality and moving on into lean manufacturing. So by the time they come to their industry block in second year, we'd be asking them to implement lean tools, lean improvement tools in your company, the likes of 5S, Poke-OK, SMED, and so forth. So they're making a contribution to the company, but they're also developing their skills. And we find the companies, even after the first academic block, the 15 weeks in the college, the companies can already see a growth and maturity developing in the students in their presentation skills, in their analytical way of thinking. So that would be the 2-year course. Then in year 3, we take the same streams, moving them along. We continue on the maths, which are Six Sigma analysis. On the smart manufacturing now, say manufacturing automation, we would have looked in second year, hydraulics, pneumatics. We're moving on then to bringing in the likes of polymer, injection molding, robotics, control devices, sensors, actuators, a little bit of visual basic programming. And on the Six Sigma, the make methodology, broader picture subjects like project management. And we get them to apply those tools like Six Sigma, operations management, project management in the workplace as well. So by the third year, then we'd have what we would look at an associate engineer, a level 7 engineer, and capable of solving a problem in an organized way using a recognized industry standard methodology like DMAIC, and getting to the root cause and eliminating a problem in the workplace, like, for example, reject reduction or so it's a step up from the process technician. This is a slightly broader view of problem solving, looking at the systems involved in manufacturing. And then our new program, we've moved on into fourth year. Then same streams, we're building up now. We're looking at, say, on the smart manufacturing side, we're looking at vision systems, material handling systems, more on the robotics. Then we're looking at in the advanced automation, we're looking at the likes of 3D printing, a digital twin, new technologies for manufacturing. We're looking at then from the sensors on the shop floor right up to SCADA systems, and also a module that we're really interested in, the analysis of data. So all the data we're extracting from the line with our sensors, can we analyze that data with the likes of Power BI, Excel, and give information back that allows the decision makers to take that and develop decisions and take action as a result. So this is your level 8 engineer then, who can take on more responsibility in the organization in the likes of new process introduction, new product introduction, auditing within the medical device sector. So yeah, so typical project then from our first batch of final year students, which are going through at the moment. And as was said already, 50% of them are female. So they're looking at process automation, data collection and visualization, and the implementation of smart technology. So you can see how it's a step up from third year. We're implementing new, rather than improving what we have, it's implementing new technologies into the workplace. And this is a very exciting development for us, that we can take an apprentice all the way to a level 8 honors engineering qualification. Now, so how does it all work? Well, we start off in an academic block, 15 weeks in the college, where they will learn the theory and the tools. Like, for example, okay, we have engineering, mathematics, metrology. So this is an example from the modules we have in second year. So some of the subjects, obviously, not every company will be set up to provide the learning environment to learn maths, for example, or even some types of automation and so forth. So those type of modules, those more academic modules, we give the grounding in the college. But then there are other modules like lean manufacturing in second year, design of fixtures, maintenance, safety, and quality. And then in fourth year, it's your statistical problem solving tools, your process validation, where the learning continues on into the industry block. So we would have we would have some of the assessment in Lean. It's 75% of the assessment that happens after the student or the apprentice applies the learning in the workplace. So we're saying you don't really understand Lean, you don't really understand operations management until you've been out there in the workplace learning from the real world. So design of fixtures, they'd have to design a fixture to help in their company, maintenance, safety, quality, and so forth. So then for example, then you'd have 4 lecturers tracking their progress on those topics throughout the industry block. In addition, there's another lecturer called the academic supervisor who looks after what we call the industry module. So this is like a sort of a super subject, it's worth more than a typical subject. And in that, the apprentices will do a technical project, which is of benefit to the company, but also has academic learning built into it as well. We'll have a process study, for example, on new product introduction, maybe in 3rd year. And then they're doing 10 reflective logbooks, reflecting on their learning. And the mentors are involved here. So each apprentice is supported by an industry mentor who helps facilitate the learning in the workplace. And it's all working to a learning plan. So it's active learning. We call it a cognitive apprenticeship. It's an apprenticeship in a way of thinking like an engineer, get with the grounding on the academic side, but very much filled out by that 360 view that you get only in industry. So we believe we have a strong educational package here. It's been on the go since 2017, and we've had nothing but positive feedback on it from the companies and from the apprentices and from the mentors. The mentors are loving being involved, seeing the development. The apprentices are seeing a whole new career path opening up for them. And the companies are seeing payback in terms of induction of new staff and retention of existing staff. So I won't go on any further, Yvonne. I'll pass it back to you now, just to because we want to get on to that discussion, open panel discussion.
Thanks a million, Paul. I think you've summarized my next 3 slides really well. In summary, this program has been hugely successful. It's received absolutely brilliant feedback from employers who constantly give us feedback that the apprentices are adding value from day one, from the mentors who are getting a lot of value out of it and finding that it re-energizes their own work, and also the apprentices who have stumbled upon this program that allows them to actually learn and work at the same time. And it gives you the confidence to take on greater responsibilities and further develop their career while also gaining an academic qualification. We're going to just move on now to the industry panel discussion. We will have a few questions for our panelists, but if you do have any additional questions that you'd like to ask, like I said, there's a Q&A box that's up on the top of your screen, and if you would like to put questions in there, I would encourage you to do so. I will just introduce our panelists now. First up, we will have Jodie White. Jodie is a current 4th year apprentice on our brand new Level 8 programme. She's from J&J Vision in Limerick. And Jodie is also a 2024 Apprentice of the Year winner in the engineering category, as Barry mentioned earlier. Our second panellist this afternoon is Donal Collins. He's an R&D manager with McHale. And Donal has been a mentor on the programme for many years now, supporting apprentices through their industry block, and hopefully will be able to give some good insight from his experience. And finally, we have Mick Dreelan, who is a senior engineering manager in Stryker Neurovascular and a long-time supporter of the programme, and was heavily involved actually in the development of the Level 8. He was one of our design team from industry who made sure that our new programme is aligned to industry needs. And at the 2024 Generation Apprenticeship Champions in the Workplace Awards, Mick won the Outstanding Apprentice Enabler Award for his exceptional work supporting apprentices in Stryker. I will just bring you up here. So Jodie, I might pass over to you first. And I just wanted to ask you, first of all, I suppose if you could talk us through your experience on the programme as an apprentice, what I suppose inspired you to go down this route in the first place, and how has your journey progressed over the last 4 years?
Hi. So yes, my name is Jodie White. I am part of the manufacturing apprenticeships. I'm doing the Level 8. I'm currently working with Johnson & Johnson Vision Care. So I actually finished my Leaving Cert in 2015, and I became a professional chef for a couple of years, and then over COVID, when the world shut down, I actually started working as a contractor within J&J. And while I was in J&J, I heard about the apprenticeship, and I always kind of wanted to change my career while I was chefing. So I heard about the apprenticeship and applied. Thankfully, I got it, and I have a very good outlook on the apprenticeship because I was able to compare it to going to college full time and then doing the apprenticeship route rather than just have no experience at all. So when I went to do the apprenticeship, I could really see the differences of doing it full time and part time, let's say. Because so when I started the apprenticeship, I did it in TUS. I did my level 6 inside TUS, and that was great because it was a great introduction to engineering. And the level 7 and level 8, I started in ATU in Galway, which have been equally as great, as they have great facilities and great lectures. I personally enjoyed their automation robotics based modules most, and the level 8 this year has been more focused on industry 0.5, so it was a lot of newer technology such as 3D printing, VR headsets, digital twins, as Paul said. And currently inside J&J, we're actually working in the R&D with VR headsets, so that was actually very beneficial for me. And even when I'm doing the level 8 now, as I'm in a manufacturing engineering role, we had 2 module process validation and statistic problem solving, what I find now even more beneficial. I do find with the apprenticeship, especially because I'm doing the 4 years, is that as my career has progressed, the apprenticeship has also progressed with me. So what I picked up, let's say in the level 6, I was actually doing it in work when I came back, and now that I'm in doing the level 8, I am actually doing those tasks that I learned in the academic block, and I am actually doing them now in industry. So rather than doing a 4-year degree in engineering and leaving and then have no industry experience, I'm actually now with 4 years industry experience, and I get to implement the tools that I'm learning as I'm learning them. So it's really, really good, and I just find it very very beneficial. It was very, very good. So I started doing a process technician within Johnson & Johnson when I started my level 6, and now that I'm doing my level 8, I'm a manufacturing engineer.
Super. You're thinking that's a really great summary of actually going through from start, from technician all the way through to engineer, and being able to apply the learning is excellent. I think a very good example. Donal, I might come to you next just to give, we've heard Jodie's, I suppose, perspective on the program from an apprentice, but as a mentor on the program, what has your experience of the manufacturing engineering apprenticeship been? I suppose from your company's view in McHale, but also your personal perspective from supporting apprentices through the program.
Yes, well, definitely from the company perspective, it's been very positive because we have people working on the floor which are, as Paul mentioned earlier, probably have a certain skill set, and we identify them and as a method of bringing them on and maybe try to put a progression stream through the company and encourage further development. This is a great tool to offer someone that is willing to step up to the next level and that is willing to get educated. More often not, a lot of these people may have a good leaving cert and for some reason are not just didn't bother going to college, would rather get into the workplace, which is a good thing, and maybe think about going to college later. Next thing, a few years pass by and actually don't. So we've 3 guys gone through it already now, and which has been very successful. And these have been people that have been working on the shop floor that are now team leads, that have now progressed onto a supervisory level and with further potential within the business. From my own perspective, from mentoring them, it's rewarding, would be an understatement for sure. It's great to see them progressing from year 1 to year 2, and sometimes one guy I had there, he wasn't too bothered about doing the 3rd year, but with a small bit of encouragement and a little bit of a push, I encourage them to do it, and you support them as best you can. And he comes back to me after the 3rd year and he said, yes, fair play to you. It was the right thing for me to do, and without you, he said, I probably wouldn't have done it. So, to get that sort of feedback kind of gives you encouragement to continue on in it, anyways, as a mentor, and try and get more people on board. But definitely, the most thing that I've learned from it is you definitely need to be meeting with your students, if that's what you want to call them, once a week. Keep in touch with them, keep encouraging them, helping them, guiding them, supporting them, giving them whatever material they need within the company. Sometimes if they need material from quality, if they're doing their project in quality, or if they're doing the project, some aspect of design and R&D, to make sure that that material is available within reason, if it's not IP related or whatever. So sometimes that can be a barrier within companies, you know, where information mightn't be that forthcoming. So from a mentor's point of view, you're kind of the spider in the middle of the web, connecting all the dots for them.
I like that analogy as a spider in the middle of the web.
Right.
I'll definitely use that. I'll use that again. Mick, we might go to you next. I suppose the apprenticeships have been applied at scale in Striker, but can you talk us through how they're structured, and how do you identify potential apprentices and indeed mentors as well?
On Striker, we've got we support 6 different sites across Ireland for apprenticeships. So from those 6 sites, we'd hope to generate at least 10 apprentices per year. So this year, we've got 10 graduates coming out of the new level 8. So we're delighted, and congratulations to Trish, Paul, and Barry for getting that bridge built just underneath the feet of our level 7 graduates. So they're absolutely delighted with their results back last week. So everything is ship-shape there. So it's a matter of getting through. So basically every year we take on approximately 10 apprentices. Those finances are ring-fenced now. So now we're financed from Striker to keep 40 apprentices in the program now that we're fully packed in. So we'll be hiring another 10 apprentices internally from Striker Talent this year again. So we haven't taken any external apprentices. It's very much an internal development piece that we use for, as Dawn was saying, folks that mightn't have the opportunity to go to college on the first instance, or decided not to for whatever reasons. So that really pushes the diversity piece for us. Then we've folks of all ages, genders and backgrounds taking part in our 40 strong piece. So one part is getting the apprentices. So we're very visible here. We had one of our apprentices, Adam Cox, was on our CEO's town hall, you know, earlier on, or kind of middle of last year. So that really increased the profile. The work that the apprentices are doing gets them in the spotlight, and we never miss an opportunity there. So it's a very visible program in Striker, which means that the finances follow. I suppose all we need to do is put the work in front of the apprentices then to get the most out of them as possible and give them the best experience. So no fear there. There's plenty of work to go around. So that's really the structure side. One of the kind of benefits that I didn't realize we'd get is that 4-year relationship with the mentors. So a lot of our mentors start as staff engineers, and they're pretty senior engineers. But often by the time they're finished, their mentees are finished, or their apprentices are finished, they're often managers and senior managers. So these are high potential folks that we have in Striker, and they're quite often at a very senior level. And one of the key parts is they start poaching those apprentices once they graduate for their own departments then. So it's lovely for the guys to build those relationships over the 4 years, but it's also really positive for the mentors to get the opportunity to dip their toe into a little bit of people leadership, you know, because quite often they're responsible for their own individual performances. You know, they've got responsibilities to others. So we take that very serious. There's quite a lot of folks suggested to go for it, and then we kind of try to vet those as best we can to see who would have the commitment to stick it for 4 years and who would take the initial, you know, silly questions, or trying to keep the motivation up for year 1 and year 2. Again, as Dawn said, and once they break the back on year 2, get into year 3, you know, they're full steam ahead. So it's, you know, it's very important to pick the right folks. We rely on the people in different sites to make sure we've got the high potentials and we've got the guys who will give them the time and make time, I suppose.
Just one follow-up question there on the mentors. I suppose how do you pick the right mentor? Is it a voluntold or a volunteer, I suppose?
So generally, you know, because the profile is after growing a little bit inside, people are trying to get involved. So it's kind of we're almost it's a vetting process as opposed to attracting folks in. So we just need to make sure that they're doing it for the right reasons. A lot of the folks who are applying to be mentors are well established, have performed very, very well for the business, but you do need that emotional intelligence side as well. So quite often we don't spend a lot of time vetting, technical acumen, because they demonstrate that in their day to day. It's really the emotional intelligence side and the patient side and that we look at, and their potential then for other roles as well. So that's done at site level, but with a little bit of input from myself and Elaine Powell, the other co lead for the program here. So we make sure once the sites pick their mentors that we meet them and make sure that they're up to standard as well.
Right. Thanks a million, Mick. I suppose from your perspective, Jody, how do you work with your mentor, and how has your mentor helped to impact your career to date?
So currently we have over 200 apprentices on site, so we have 4 mentors altogether, just because there's so many of us. And they have all different career sets. Like they all came from different parts of the company, which is very good. Some came from training, some came from more senior engineering roles, and one's working in R&D. So it's nice because you get a whole range. If one person can't help you, another person can. So we have like a whole range of different mentors. So I find that very beneficial. But yeah, I think it was more like there was one was from a training department beforehand. So in that way, it's broken up more, like maybe the level 6s are more mentored by the person that's from the training department, just because they would probably need that extra training. And then after that, it's more innovation. Is that what people need?
And is in your role in J&J, and I said Striker are playing a scale, J&J are taking it to another scale, 200
J&J
on site.
love the apprentices.
How do you think that the apprenticeship impacts your career to date? I know you talked a little bit how you've gone from technician through to engineer, but I suppose, what are your aspirations from here? How do you think that the apprenticeship has impacted your career trajectory?
Yeah, so I think I'm very lucky because I did the manufacturing apprenticeship role, because I see a lot of people coming from full-time college roles and say they have done more specific engineering roles, so they can only kind of go down one direction, where because I did manufacturing engineering, there's loads and many roles I can go down on, whether it's process engineering or manufacturing engineering. Because the course is very much in the manufacturing engineering, you do actually get that broad range of everything. So whether it's automation, robotics, even now I've done process validation and I've done statistic problem solving. So that is working in even 2 engineering roles. I've been in process validation. Process engineering is more process validation. So I've had that already from having it in college, and now I'm more statistical training, and that's perfect because I had it in college. So you really do exactly what my experience is when I've been going through the apprenticeship, I really am implementing it in the industry. And even because you're implementing it too, and other people around you, and obviously they have different views of how they would partake in things. So to have that different experience, from my experience in academic block and then someone else's experience from working in industry, you can kind of bounce ideas off each other too. So it's very, very beneficial. I find it from the start of my career towards the end, it's definitely a thing that I would repeat over and over and over again. Because I always say, I don't think the manufacturing apprenticeship has just affected my career. I always say it's affected my life, because it teaches you so much, not even just the academic part. It's more like communication. You might, if you had done the 4-year in college, you might not even know how to set up a Teams call. But because you're working in industry while you're in college, you're not just leaving with the certificate at the end. You're leaving with your industry experience, and that industry experience comes with so much, whether it's connections and motivation and inspiration from others. It's been amazing.
I think that we'll have plenty of people on this call if they try to come after you now. And the value, definitely, I think, of what you're describing there is the ability to not only be theoretically knowledgeable, but also be able to apply that in a hands-on way. And probably you're able to challenge some of the perspectives of people who've maybe been in industry for a while, because you're getting new techniques from your academic block. So I think that that's probably a bit of shared learning there as well. Donal, I might just come to you quickly. I'm conscious that we only have about 10 minutes left. And I just wanted to ask you in Michael, how do you see your apprentices? Because Jodie's described now how she's adding value within her company, but how do you see the apprentices in your organization adding value?
Well, we see them progressing along, up through the levels in the organization and maybe taking up a bit more of leadership roles and applying the skills. And like what you said there, Jodie, it's the soft skills as well as the communication skills. It's the very basic things like doing an Excel report, being able to present their data to peers in a professional manner. All these things are as important as the technical skills as well. So I see some of the three guys, and we've only three guys. I feel like we're only minuscule in the scheme of things when I look at Johnson and Stryker. But anyways, we'll get there. But what I see is I see the confidence building in the three guys that we put through there. And as I said, they have taken up leadership roles, team lead. One of them is a team lead, one is a supervisor. So I find that and it's giving encouragement to other people that they see. Oh, hang on, Joe Bloggs is after doing that. Maybe I can do that too. So it's like a bit of a snowball effect, so it might encourage more people to, well, if he can do it and look where he is now, sometimes maybe some of these people may be in the factory a lot longer than some of these other people. They may say, here, look, it's an opportunity for me to stand up and be counted. So that's what we see. And but as you said there, Mick, like we would be to pick the right person is critical, and we wouldn't certainly go about hiring people using this apprenticeship scheme as a method to recruit staff. It's important to have people that are with the company maybe 2 or 3 or 4 years, have kind of proved themselves, that we see a bit of potential in them, that we have a conversation with them, kind of gauge out what are their plans. Do they plan to go to Australia for a year or two traveling, which is fine if they want to, or is their plan to progress within the company? And by doing that, 9 times out of 10, you will get the right candidates. And if they go through the program and they come out other interviews, well, hopefully you have them in for the future.
Do the pre-work is what you're saying.
I think it's important. Yeah, it is. It is important. There is nothing worse than to go so far down and next thing, for some reason, either it doesn't work out, maybe through no fault of the apprenticeship scheme, but within the company it's not the right fit. Then it's a waste of everyone's time, really.
Absolutely. And even when we have companies who are hiring externally, and we have quite a few that would hire externally, we always advise them to take the apprentices on, hopefully 6 months in advance at least, to get to know them and allow them the opportunity, as well as what Jodie was saying, get to know the company, get to know the people you're going to be working with, and the processes that are in place on site. I think it's really, really important, and something that's probably maybe undervalued a little bit sometimes.
Sometimes I think, they need to be kind of embedded to a certain degree within the company, and I think that you have a good chance then of it being a success.
Nick, I might just go to you for the last word. I don't see any more questions coming in, but I do have one more question myself that I might ask of you, and that's a very broad question, and any of the other panelists, and Barry, if you're still online, you can also jump in here. But what would your advice be to a company considering putting an apprentice onto the manufacturing engineering program?
Yeah, so hindsight is great for companies who've gone through it, so we can look back, and very much so good news for Jodie. Like, apprentice graduates are more attractive, I feel, than the folks who are coming straight out of college, because they have all of those skills that Jodie spoke about. But then to double down on Donal's experience, we've got 2 engineering supervisors, one probably progressing to manager soon as a result of their apprenticeship as well. Because after 4 years of working with the company in a technical role, they far outshine the folks coming off. So the key points for me are choose well at the start, to Donald's point. Make sure you know them, make sure they're turning up for work every day, they're showing some degree of acumen, and make sure that they've got that work ethic. And then all the rest of it we can support through mentors. If there's a little bit of a confidence thing, sometimes around maths, and don't leave that throw people off of a really good opportunity to develop their career. The other strange kind of phenomenon that we're seeing is not only is our retention of the apprentices super, we've lost one apprentice who's, I believe, recruiting to come back to Striker now over our full involvement since 2017. But we haven't lost a mentor during the process ever. So these are high value individuals who are mentoring folks through, and they get so involved in this apprenticeship program. It's and they tend to stay for the full period. So now they're 4 years. People are actually making career decisions to stick with Striker because they're doing well as mentors and they're getting the recognition that they deserve, which really benefits. So the two key pieces are recruit. Everybody knows recruit your apprentice well, but spend the time on the mentor and make sure that the mentor is doing well. Also, then just internally in the company, make sure that the apprentices are getting the spotlight and they're getting the attention, and we're looking at what they're doing as the college content drives good performance as well, by the way, and they need to be doing these projects. And you as a company need to find the work that supports their college work, which in fact benefits you at the back end then, because they're turning out really good work, and it's not just yourself that's betting it, it's their mentor and their college support network as well. So make sure you've got commitment for the 4 years financially from the business. Pick a good apprentice, pick an excellent mentor, and then you'll see your program grow hopefully after that.
Brilliant. Thanks a million to all three of you. I think the insights you've shared have definitely, allowed probably everyone on this call to take away some piece of information or some nugget that's going to add value to them, and hopefully convince them, if they're not convinced already, to enroll an apprentice onto the manufacturing engineering program, because it really is a strong program and that has just evolved and grown over time. So thank you again to everyone. I'm just going to pass back now just to Trish, and Trish, you might just close out just to thank everyone. I'll thank everyone first just on behalf of myself, and our details are up on the screen there, and you can scan that QR code if you want to visit our website.
Thank you very much for everybody for coming on the call. And look, it's just so inspiring to hear all those different points of view, like from the apprentice, from the mentors, from the companies. I mean, I can't sell it half as well as the people who are in it and doing it every day and see the benefits on the ground. So look, we're here to support you. If there's anything I can do to help, or you want to talk to us a bit more after this, please do give us a call, and we're here to help you through that process of getting your apprentices registered if it's for you. But definitely, I think for any of the apprenticeships, it's another pillar to help you with your skills development within companies and building your talent pipelines and all that. If you're not engaged in apprenticeships, not just ours, but there are many out there, but if you're not engaged in apprenticeships, I think it's definitely something you should consider, because your competitors are most likely doing it. So hopefully we'll hear from you. Give us a shout. We're here to support you. And just again to say thanks very much to everybody for taking the time to listen today, and thank you for all the presenters for your unbiased information and feedback. It was fabulous to hear it. It's inspired me as well. So thank you very much. And thanks, Yvonne.
I'll send out the slides, and the recording will also be available afterwards to anyone who missed it. So thank you. Have a good afternoon, everyone, and hopefully we'll chat to some of you very soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.